So in this session today, we discussed the relevant aspects of transfer pricing as it relates to BEPS. So BEPS, of course, impacts on not just transfer pricing, but international tax more broadly. However, certain components of it, do zero in on transfer pricing, specifically the type of support that we might need from a documentation to support transfer pricing policies, and really just to build the ultimate transfer pricing business case so we can support those policies under examination, or if it comes down to it, under litigation. Kind of conclusions that we reached then today are that we need to think about supplemental analyses, we need to think about considering all the different factors that went into our policy up front and make sure that we document those at the time of entering into the transaction. As when the examination comes up 3 or 4 years down the road, memories fade, we need to have that within the files already. The other thing we wanted to talk about is very simply, the economic analyses that underlie all the transfer pricing policies are going to vary quite a bit country by country. And we explored the differences between the emerging markets and the developing world. What we'd like to do today, following the insights that we just had on the broader BEPS discussion, is focus a little bit more on some practical transfer pricing aspects of it. We're not going to try to solve all the transfer pricing issues that are out there. There's too many to get into in 40 minutes today. Is planning, in fact, still possible today? When we think about the BEPS, we see what's going on. Can we still work with the system? Can we still do some efficient planning? Or is it something that's effectively being put on hold through BEPS?
What I find interesting is if I look at the slides, the main quote on the planning one is the reputational risk. And that is something I think that you mustn't underestimate, especially in the African context or generally in the context of emerging markets. I think some of the biggest news about BEPS, certainly in Africa, is the fact that it is news and that it's out there and it has made tax authorities aware of transfer pricing issues. It's not only the general public that has really picked up all those issues, but it has really, specifically in Southern Africa, certainly in my experience, has provided the tax authorities what they perceive to be the moral high ground. We've got two main areas, in my view, if you really want to summarize it in 2 points. The one is to focus on economic substance embedded in people functions to drive taxation. That's the one big one. And then the other one is to move away from the use of one-sided transfer pricing methods and kind of widening the access to what I would call the residual profit.
I think in Europe we do have quite the same appreciation of the risk than in South Africa, I guess. The audit exposure is very high, and clearly the principal structures are under attack, the one-sided TP method you were just talking about. And more, we have criminal law involved more and more often. That's the case in France, for example, allowing tax raids to take place to understand where the substance is. So I fully agree with the message that Jens just sent. Substance is of critical essence here. Having said that, the approach of tax authorities is always driven by opportunity. But these days, thing is, the opportunity is flavored with morals. My key point here was to advise to make corroborative analysis always, just to have the toughest picture to get this straight.
When I think about the ultimate TP business case or ultimate TP business support, one, I think it's one that's very efficient, that you can administer easily, and that hopefully you can be able to present to multiple tax jurisdictions in a way that different countries are all going to respect it in the same way, so that you can hopefully avoid controversy. Unfortunately, this doesn't really happen in practice. And I think one of the big reasons for that, of course, is that ultimately, what's efficient is going to be different for every company, is also going to be different for every country. And I think one of the areas where we see this is actually in the area of the economic analyses. And we still see it in just basic comparability analyses.
I think in several Asian countries, we have a very lack of comparables. I mean, let's say, for example, Indonesia, we only have 500 comparables all over Indonesia. And those companies public listed companies in which they have a related party transaction. So we cannot use those public companies as our comparables. So in that case, the Indonesian tax authority, they accept to use overseas comparables. But then what is the challenge? The next challenge using the overseas comparables is the market condition. For example, Indonesia with Japan and Korea is totally different market condition. So we cannot compare between Indonesian companies with Korean companies in a certain condition.
Conclude with a few general comments. It's certainly our view anyway that planning, the transfer pricing planning under BEPS or under the BEPS environment is absolutely still viable. Yeah. Just have to take the adequate precautions. I think our thoughts here is that on one hand, it doesn't really change that much, that certain aspects of it have always existed and how you need to support, but there is going to be an extra layer of detail, of scrutiny that goes into that perhaps. Secondly, we certainly think, and I think Mukesh would absolutely agree with this, that controversy is going to continue to grow in this space. And then on CBC, again, it seems like it is in fact coming. I think we just need to stop worrying about it, stop trying to fight it, and instead get on board with the idea that it's here, figure out what we need to do to our systems to collect the data and make it work for us. So with that, I think we're done. Thank you.